Wreckage and wonder, the taste of copper and smoke, filled Marcus Kane's mouth as consciousness crawled back into his battered skull. His freighter, the drifting Fortune, lay scattered across the crimson landscape of an unnamed moon like broken bones. Steam hissed from ruptured coolant lines, and the acrid smell of burning electronics stung his nostrils. Marcus dragged himself from the pilot's seat, his ribs screaming protest with every movement. Blood trickled from a gash above his left eye, painting his vision in streaks of red. A cargo bay had split open like a ripe fruit, spilling its mysterious contents across the alien terrain. He'd been running contraband for the Veltar Syndicate for 3 years, no questions asked, no cargo manifest examined. The credits were too good, and Marcus had learned long ago that curiosity was a luxury smugglers couldn't afford. But now, stranded on this desolate rock with his ship in pieces and his comrade dead, survival trumped professional discretion. The first crate lay partially buried beneath twisted metal, its bioluminescent seals still pulsing with an eerie blue light. Marcus had never seen seals like these before. They seemed almost organic, like veins carrying some unknown life force. His hands trembled as he approached, whether from shock or some primal warning, he couldn't tell. The locking mechanism responded to his touch with a soft hiss, as if it had been waiting for him specifically. Inside, cushioned by adaptive foam that writhed and adjusted to his presence, lay a crystalline stasis pod no larger than a coffin. But this wasn't meant for the dead. A steady heartbeat pulsed through the transparent aluminum, accompanied by the soft glow of neural activity monitors. Whatever was inside was very much alive, its vital signs strengthening as if responding to the moon's atmosphere. Marcus stumbled backward, his boots crunching on scattered debris. Around him, the other crates began to emit similar pulses, their seals brightening in sequence like a chain reaction. The wind, which had been howling across the barren landscape moments before, suddenly died to an unnatural stillness. Even the distant rumble of geological activity fell silent. Marcus felt eyes upon him, not from the creature in the pod, but from the moon itself. The crimson sky seemed to darken, despite the twin suns hanging overhead, and shadows lengthened in directions that defied physics. His survival instincts, honed by years of dodging patrol ships and hostile aliens, screamed danger. But it was too late to run. The seals on the remaining crates were failing, one by one, and with each opening came a sound he'd never heard before, like reality itself was tearing at the seams. Whatever the Veltar had paid him to transport wasn't cargo. Awakening. Bonds, the second crate, opened with a wet, organic sound that made Marcus's skin crawl. Inside, suspended in a gel-like substance that seemed to pulse with its own heartbeat, floated what looked like a weapon, if weapons could be grown rather than manufactured. Its surface was chitinous black, shot through with veins of the same blue light that had marked the seal's dot as Marcus watched in horrified fascination. The weapon began to change, its surface rippling and reshaping itself. Tendrils emerged from its base, seeking, testing the air with an intelligence that made his blood run cold. It wasn't just alive, it was adapting. "Don't be afraid." The voice came from behind him, soft and childlike, speaking perfect Terran standard with an accent he couldn't place. Marcus spun around, his hand instinctively reaching for the plasma pistol at his hip, only to find his holster empty, lost somewhere in the crash. Standing among the wreckage was a being no taller than his waist, humanoid in shape, but clearly not human. Its skin had a translucent quality, revealing a network of glowing pathways beneath the surface. Large, dark eyes regarded him with an ancient intelligence that seemed far too old for its small frame. "You opened our prison," the being continued, tilting its head with curiosity rather than accusation. "We have been waiting so long for someone with the right ... resonance. What are you?" Marcus managed, his voice hoarse from smoke inhalation and shock. "We are what remains of the architects," it replied, moving closer with fluid grace. "And you, Marcus Kane, are something we did not expect to find among the younger races." The being paused, studying him with those impossibly deep eyes. "You carry the old marks." Marcus felt a chill that had nothing to do with the alien wind. "I don't know what you're talking about." The child being smiled, an expression both innocent and terrifying. "Your species ... You were touched by us long ago. Most humans lost the connection, but some retained the ability to wake us from our dreams." It gestured toward the other crates, which were now opening in rapid succession. "You are what your people might call a key." From the remaining containers emerged more impossible things. A sphere that seemed to bend light around itself, creating pockets of absolute darkness. A collection of crystalline fragments that sang in harmonics that made Marcus's bones ache. And finally, something that defied description, a piece of space that wasn't quite there, existing in the gaps between what was real and what was possible. "The Veltar found us buried on Kepler 442b, the child explained, its voice growing stronger as more artifacts awakened. "They thought we were weapons they could sell to the highest bidder. They were ... partially correct." "The bio-weapon from?" The second crate had fully emerged now, flowing across the ground like liquid mercury until it reached Marcus's feet. Instead of attacking, it began to circle him, leaving traces of that blue luminescence in its wake. Where the light touched his boots, he felt a strange warmth spreading up his legs. "It's bonding with you," the child said matter-of-factly. "They all are. The crash wasn't an accident, Marcus Kane. The Veltar patrol ships were meant to find you. We guided them." Its smile widened, revealing teeth like stars. "We needed to be free, and you needed to come home." The weight of ancient truth, the bonding process felt like drowning in reverse. Instead of water filling his lungs, something far more profound was flowing into every cell of his body. Marcus collapsed to his knees as memories that weren't his flooded his consciousness. He saw vast cities of crystal and light, beings of incredible power, reshaping reality with thoughts alone. And somewhere in the cosmic tapestry, a small blue world where primitive primates were just beginning to look up at the stars. "Your ancestors called us gods," the child being explained, its voice now echoing inside Marcus's skull as well as his ears. "But we were simply gardeners, tending to the growth of consciousness throughout the galaxy. Humanity was one of our greatest successes and our most dangerous failure." Through the borrowed memories, Marcus witnessed the truth, how the architects had uplifted dozens of species, guiding their evolution and development. But humanity had been different. Instead of accepting guidance, they had absorbed it, internalized it, made it their own. They had become something the architects never intended: independent creators capable of surpassing their teachers. "The other architects feared what you might become," the child continued. "So they tried to prune you back, to limit your growth. But some of us ... we believed in your potential." The being's expression grew sad. "The war that followed destroyed both our civilizations. We were forced into exile, sealed away until the galaxy forgot we ever existed." Marcus felt the bioweapon. No, he realized, it wasn't a weapon at all, but a symbiont merge with his nervous system. Knowledge flooded through him. Star charts to worlds beyond the rim. Technologies that could reshape matter at the quantum level. And perhaps most importantly, the locations of the other architect caches scattered throughout the galaxy. "Why me?" he gasped, struggling to maintain his sense of self as alien thoughts integrated with his own. "I'm nobody, just a smuggler trying to make a living." The child knelt beside him, placing a small hand on his forehead. Where it touched, the chaos in his mind began to settle into comprehensible patterns. "Your bloodline carries the old markers, but more than that, you chose to open the crates despite the danger. You could have left us sealed and tried to repair your ship. Instead, you risked everything to understand. Around them, the moon itself was changing. The red sand began to shift and flow, revealing geometric patterns that stretched the horizon. Ancient machinery, buried for eons, hummed to life beneath their feet. The very air shimmered with potential energy. The Veltar didn't just find us by accident, the child revealed. They were hired by the remnants of the old architect faction, the ones who still believe humanity should be controlled or destroyed. They planned to use us as weapons against your colonies. Its eyes blazed with inner fire. But they made critical error. They assumed we were still bound by their will. Marcus felt something shift inside him, a power he'd never known he possessed stirring to life. The symbiont had changed him at a fundamental level, bridging the gap between human potential and architect knowledge. When he stood, the movement felt different, more controlled, more purposeful. "What happens now?" he asked. The child's smile was both gentle and terrible. "Now, Marcus Kane, you help us finish what we started 65 million years ago. It's time for humanity to claim its true inheritance. Convergence of power. The transformation of the moon accelerated as more architect technology awakened from its eons-long slumber. Crystalline spires erupted from the surface, their surfaces alive with cascading patterns of light that hurt to look at directly. Marcus could feel the planet's consciousness emerging, ancient and vast, like a sleeping giant stirring from dreams. Of cosmic proportion, through his enhanced perception. Gift of the symbiont now flowing through his bloodstream. Like liquid starlight, he sensed ships approaching from the outer system. The Veltar hadn't given up on their prize. They were coming in force, and they weren't alone. 7 battle cruisers, he reported, the words carrying certainty he couldn't have possessed hours ago. 3 are Veltar design, but the others ... He paused, accessing data patterns that felt both foreign and familiar. Kethmorian dreadnoughts. The old architect faction has allied with the hegemony, the child being nodded grimly. They seek to reclaim us and use our power to enforce their vision of galactic order. Humanity contained, controlled, eventually eliminated. Its small hands began to glow with the same blue radiance that marked the awakening artifacts. But they have forgotten something crucial about architect technology. What's that? It chooses its wielder. Marcus felt the truth of those words resonate through every fiber of his being. The artifacts scattered across the crash site weren't just awakening, they were evaluating him, testing his resolve, his capacity for the responsibility they represented. The sphere of twisted space-time bobbed closer, its non-existence somehow musical. The singing crystals arranged themselves in a perfect mandala around his feet. Even the reality-bending fragments seemed to hum in harmony with his heartbeat. The approaching fleet carries planet crackers, the child warned. If they cannot reclaim us, they will destroy this moon to prevent our knowledge from spreading. We have perhaps an hour before they arrive. But Marcus was no longer concerned about the timeline. Through the symbiont's enhancement, he could perceive the quantum threads that connected all things, the fundamental forces that the architects had learned to manipulate like a master musician playing a cosmic instrument. The moon wasn't just awakening. It was becoming something new, shaped by the intersection of ancient power and human will. "There's something else," he said, his awareness expanding beyond the immediate star system. More ships coming from different vectors, human ships. He concentrated, parsing the impossible flood of information. Colonial Defense Force. They detected the energy surge when the caches activated. The child's expression shifted to something Marcus couldn't quite read hope, mixed with apprehension. Your people still remember us, even if only in their genetic memory. The question is whether they will see us as salvation or threat. Through the enhanced senses granted by his transformation, Marcus could feel the approaching human fleet's emotions. Like distant music, fear, curiosity, determination, and underneath it all, a resonance that called to something deep in his modified DNA. Captain Torres of the CDF vessel Indomitable was broadcasting on emergency frequencies, demanding answers about the energy signatures they were detecting. They're afraid, Marcus realized. They think this is a weapon test gone wrong. Fear is wisdom when facing the unknown, the child replied. But your species has always chosen courage over caution when the stakes were high enough. It gestured toward the horizon where more crystalline structures were emerging from the red sand. The question is whether you can convince them to trust what you've become. Marcus felt the weight of that responsibility settle around him like a mantle. He was no longer just a smuggler caught in circumstances beyond his control. He had become something unprecedented, a bridge between humanity's potential and the architect's legacy. The fate of both civilizations might depend on his ability to unite them against the approaching threat. Then we'd better get ready, he said, feeling power flow through him like electricity through copper wire. Time to show them what humans can really do. The human solution, the convergence, came faster than anyone expected. The Vel-Tar Kethmorian fleet dropped out of hyperspace like falling stars, their weapons already charging for planetary bombardment. Simultaneously, the human colonial defense force emerged from a different vector, their ships bristling with the aggressive pragmatism that had carried humanity across the galaxy. Marcus stood at the center of what had once been a crash site and was now something approaching a temple. The architect artifacts had arranged themselves in perfect geometric harmony around him, each one pulsing with contained power that could reshape solar systems. Through the symbiont's enhancement, he could perceive all three fleets as patterns of intent and capability, their crew's emotions as clear as spoken words. "This is Admiral Chun of the CDF vessel Indomitable," came the transmission on standard. "Frequencies. Unknown entity on planetary surface, identify yourself. You are in violation of colonial quarantine protocols." Before Marcus could respond, the Vel-Tar fleet opened communications with a hiss of static and alien harmonics. "Architect Abomination," came the translated words. "You will surrender the artifacts or face annihilation. The old powers must not be allowed to corrupt the younger races." The child being looked up at Marcus with those ancient eyes. "Two choices, as always with your species. Submit or fight. But you have taught us there is always a third option." Marcus smiled, feeling the truth of that statement resonate through his enhanced consciousness. Humans had never been good at accepting binary choices. They had a gift for finding solutions that no one else could imagine. "Admiral Chun," he broadcast, his voice carried by architect technology across impossible distances with perfect clarity. "This is Marcus Kane, formerly of the merchant vessel Drifting Fortune. I'm transmitting my identification codes now, along with something your xenarchaeology teams are going to find very interesting." Through the symbiont, he shared not words, but understanding, the true history of humanity's relationship with the architects, the benevolent guidance that had shaped their evolution, and the fear that had driven the ancient war. More importantly, he showed them what the approaching alien fleet intended, the systematic elimination of human independence. "My God," came Admiral Chun's whispered response, "the genetic markers. They match the theoretical models from the Kepler ruins." "You're?" "Actually, double quotes. I'm still human," Marcus replied firmly. "Just human with a broader perspective. And right now, that perspective tells me we have about 3 minutes before the Vel-Tar open fire. What happened next would be debated by historians for generations. Instead of choosing between the human and alien fleets, Marcus did something. Characteristically human, he chose both. The architect artifacts responded to his will, But more than that, they responded to his nature. Humanity's greatest strength had always been their ability to adapt, to synthesize, to find unity in diversity. The crystalline spires launched skyward, not as weapons but as communication relays, broadcasting the true history of the galactic community to every ship in the system. The reality-bending fragments created corridors of folded spacetime, allowing representatives from each fleet to meet face-to-face in a neutral zone that existed outside normal physics. "You can't force evolution," Marcus told the assembled alien commanders, his words carrying the weight of architect knowledge, but delivered with unmistakably human conviction. The old faction tried to control growth and created stagnation. Humanity's gift isn't our technology or our weapons. It's our ability to find new solutions to impossible problems. The Veltar war leader raised 4 arms in a gesture of challenge. Your species spreads chaos wherever it goes. You cannot be trusted with architect power. Maybe not, Marcus admitted, but that's exactly why it should be shared. Power concentrated in one place, whether with architects or humans or anyone else, leads to corruption. But power shared, power that has to be earned and maintained through cooperation. He gestured to the artifacts surrounding them, now pulsing in harmony with the biorhythms of every being present. That's how you build something that lasts. Admiral Chun stepped forward. What are you proposing? Marcus felt the child beings' approval flow through their connection, along with the awakening consciousness of dozens of other architect remnants scattered across the galaxy. A partnership. Not human dominance or architect control, but genuine collaboration. Your people get access to technologies that could revolutionize civilization. The architects get new perspectives to help them grow beyond their old limitations. And everyone else, double quotes, he smiled. Everyone else gets to be part of something unprecedented. The Kethmorian representative, a towering insectoid with compound eyes that reflected the artifact's light like prisms, buzzed thoughtfully. And if we refuse? Then you refuse, Marcus said simply. That's the other thing about humans, we believe in choice. But the offer stands for anyone ready to try something new. It wasn't a perfect solution. There would be resistance, mistrust, setbacks, and conflicts. But as the various fleets began broadcasting acceptance signals and the first joint research teams started forming, Marcus felt something he hadn't experienced since childhood. Hope for a future bigger than anyone had dared imagine. The crash hadn't killed him. What was inside the crates might have destroyed the galaxy. But humanity's greatest weapon, their stubborn refusal to accept that problems were unsolvable, had turned potential catastrophe into the foundation of a new age. The smuggler was dead. What stood in his place was something unprecedented. The first human architect hybrid, guardian of a bridge between civilizations, and proof that sometimes the best solutions came from the most unlikely sources. In the end, that was the most human thing of all.